Okay, so I had an idea. I'm gonna use this time for like maybe a bit more content. So I'm gonna try to be concise in the introduction of what we're doing and also the concept of cyberdelics. And then at some point, I will just bring all the artists that you will be able to immerse yourself in their work during this week. And then we're gonna have a chat with some really hot questions and also the possibility for you to ask your own question if you feel like it. So let's start. Welcome to the Cyberdelic Showcase at MoDem. So first of all, what are cyberdelics? Uh, Let me ask you guys, do you know what is cyberdelics? Raise your hand. If you have an idea, okay, yes, because you were at Sora, you're cheating. But who else? No one. Which is interesting actually because this is not a new thing. It might sound like a new thing or something that we made up, but in reality, this comes way back to the 60s and even before that. So, cybernetics is the intersection of two fields, both cybernetics and psychedelics. And basically, cybernetics is the study of systems and control between animals and machines, right? So, the study of cybernetics looks at how systems within ourselves work and how they implement in the machines, in our technologies. And it's actually one of the fields that embarks most of the technology that we are using today. It's the foundational field that gives rise to many of the technologies. And psychedelics, well, that in this kind of context and these festivals, I don't think I need to introduce it, but in its etymology, it's just simply mind manifesting or soul manifesting. Experiences that catalyze so much of a transformative insight that could lead into a profound shift in your reality and your perception. When you combine both, you have cyberdelics, and this is an interesting edge to kind of finding a new relationship towards manifesting the mind and the soul through your relationship with technology. The cultural context of cyberdelics goes back, as I said, to the 60s, to Stuart Branson, one of the members of the electric Kool-Aid acid tests. These like people experimenting with acids in the 60s. And Stuart Branson decided to create a magazine called the Whole Earth Catalog. If you have a chance to like read some of the archives, I recommend it because it's this fascinating moment when the mind of people started branching out to new possibilities, especially because of psychedelics. But in the Whole Earth catalog, it was emphasized through a techno-utopian lens, right? So it was how can technology help us achieve our highest potential, and even like the origins of the word transhumanism was documented in this magazine. And transhumanism in its origins by Teilhard de Chardin wasn't really something to do with technology, but mostly to something that we could transcend the limitations of what keeps us trapped in our own delusions. But later on, we see that through internet culture and the rise of technology, we see that counterculture and cyberculture were intrinsically connected. And in fact, due to psychedelics, we can say that we have a lot of innovations today, like the iPhone, for example, or the internet. And these kind of ways of externalizing the internal through the manifestation of the internal through psychedelics allows us to inspire innovation. But it wasn't until Ken Hoffman, Are You Serious, artist from America who created Mondo 2000, was when the concept of cyberdelics was really established, because in this kind of countercultural magazine, they were exploring more topics that were not so utopian as the Whole Earth catalog. It was more about cyberpunk. It was about solarpunk. It was about exploring topics or stories like Neuromancer, and somehow like realizing that the utopianism promised by the Holder catalog wasn't mirroring what the reality of those times. So as I said, like these were the cultural context, and some of the prominent people person or couple, I would say, that really established this philosophy towards the relationship with technology was Timothy Leary and Terence McKenna. Timothy Leary, in Chaos and Cyberculture, he coined or he said that the PC is the LSD of the 90s, right? So he was a psychedelic guru who's establishing the use of these drugs, but at the same time, McKenna was more looking at the future in terms of like how the drugs will possibly become like computers, and the computers of the future will become like drugs, which we are seeing now a little bit with the AI rise and the whole kind of advancements in technology. Now, some of the latest research in the psychedelic field include the work of David Glowacki, which you will have a chance to both experience and also hear his research on Saturday. And basically, this paper is important because it was one of the first scientific studies to apply similar techniques that they apply in psychedelic studies for measuring the mystical experience and the transformative impact of psychedelics. But in this case was with virtual reality. And they found some correlation, and this implies that there is a possibility to catalyze similar states of mind through technology. As well, Enosis Therapeutics is implementing both the virtual reality or cyberdelics within psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy. So now both are having a kind of like a dance and a symbiosis, and they are finding a way to implement both for the integration or the preparation, preparation obviously, of the experience. And this is a fascinating paper as well, which is pointing at the potential of virtual reality or cyberdelics as well to help us lose our fear of death, increase our death literacy, and somehow expand our experience in life. So are cyberdelics trying to replace psychedelics? No. Not at all, because the realm of the possibilities within the psychedelic state are so impossible for any kind of technology today to actually replicate. So we're not trying to replicate or replace, but we are just exploring the potential of the inspiration we get from the psychedelic state within our technology, both in the content, the context, and the relationship that we develop through it. So Cyberdelic represents a forward-thinking philosophy that delves into the synergistic relationship among human consciousness, technological advancement, and altered states of consciousness. This interdisciplinary field seeks to understand and articulate how these dynamic elements interact and collectively transform our comprehension of the mind, the nature of reality, and the human experience. A bit of a mindful, I know, but at the same time, it's just proposing that this is not purely some kind of content that is trippy, but more of a philosophical relationship that you can develop with technology, and therefore with how you create and how you express and how you manifest your mind in the world. So we are the Cyberdelic Society, and we created the Cyberdelic Society in 2017. We've been creating all different kinds of events, from incubators, showcases, symposiums. We've been all around in different festivals, and we also been exploring different type of conversations to just facilitate people into it. So what makes a cyberdelic experience? It has to have a technological foundation, facilitate an altered state, have a transformative potential, have some kind of cultural connection with the psychedelic space or any psychedelic, have an intent from the core creator's purpose, and an artistic expression. These are some of the few technologies that cyberdelics can express, and I know you cannot see it. I cannot even see it, even if I'm close. But at the end of the day, it's like cyberdelics don't relate to only virtual, augmented, and mixed reality, but it's a whole spectrum of technologies to alter perception and consciousness. So there's 6 main categories of cyberdelics: sensory augmentation, cognitive enhancement, emotional and psychological well-being, spiritual and mystical exploration, altered states and consciousness exploration, and psychedelic integration and enhancement. So we're expanding our platform to the Cyberdelic Nexus, and the Nexus is this cultural container that will offer a transdisciplinary cultural and creative nexus that explores the relationship between technology, altered states, and art. And we're branching out. So the society was its core, and it's where we all hang out and interconnect and interpollinate. But we want to give also more to our community. So we're putting out the academy, the Cyberdelic Academy, directed by Carl Schmidt. He's here in the room, and he's going to be in charge of like how to put together content and courses and a program that is enriched by all of the work that the society is doing to expand out and you know establish more of what we're doing out there. And the Cyberdelic Labs, which is like a project directed by Melissa also, which you will meet in the panel. And the Cyberdelic Labs is also something that we want to establish as the possibility for all of us to co-create more experiences through either hackathons or teams or potentially consultations for other external clients. And these labs will apply for both the kind of recreational type of cyberdelics, but to the most therapeutic one. We're creating a growing library of Cyberdelic experiences, courses, content, so you can find out more about it and download it. And at some point, we want to create this Cyberdelic dojo, so physical spaces where you can actually train your Jedi skills. And that's it. That's we're gonna have like a lot of experiences here. I know you can again see this. There you go. But we're gonna be from tomorrow till Saturday from 5 to 8 over here. You can see it from here. Oops. And then yeah, it's gonna be fun. There's gonna be a lot of experiences. You can experience any day you want. And there's 4 different categories: the state shifters, the fractal and the neural, the mystical and hypnotic, musical and hypnotic, and the mystical and shamanic. So now we're going to turn this to the artist. So I will invite the artist to come to the panel as I will be asking some questions, and you will be able to also have the opportunity to ask questions. Thank you for your attention. All right, so not all of the artists are here yet. Some had some technical difficulties to arrive on time, but eventually you'll meet them at the showcase. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for making it here. It means a lot. And also, I have some questions to explore. But first of all, I want you to introduce yourself so people can know what you're doing, what you're here for, and what you're showing, and yeah, to learn more about your work.
Hi everyone, my name's Melissa, and I'm a director of the Cyberdelic Nexus alongside Jose, Michael, and Carl, and also another director, Theo, who's in Australia. And I'm also a board member of PRISM, Psychedelic Research in Science and Medicine, which is a charity in Australia that started the first psilocybin and MDMA trials in Australia, and also a lead teacher on, I think, the first year-long program for future psychedelic therapists in Australia, where psychedelics are now Schedule 8, that has been approved by the Royal College of Psychiatry. And also a director of Paths XR, which is a organisation that Jose and Michael and Carl are all part of, which focuses on developing extended reality solutions to support the preparation and integration of psychedelics for therapy. And I came to this having met Jose and Carl in 2018, and it's been a pleasure to see how this has grown and how we can continue to grow it together.
My name is Michael, and I am one of the lead developers for Desert Rose, which you guys will be able to try out tomorrow. It's been quite a journey the last few years, but we're finally in a space where we're ready to start seeing how it goes in the real world. So you guys are our beta testers this weekend, and we're really looking forward to getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, my name is Ben Outram, and I am the creator of a game called Squingle, which is a psychedelic-themed VR and augmented reality puzzle game where you have to guide revolving orbs through a series of increasingly complex 3D mazes while being taken on a transcendent journey by a cosmic DMT-inspired goddess character. Yeah, it's more of a sort of interactive game experience that sort of takes inspiration from flow toys like juggling and poi and those kinds of things, and also physics and mystical philosophy and bits and pieces like that, and humor. Um, but yeah, that's me, and my background is sort of more in the academic side and physics, engineering. Kind of came into the virtual reality space during the pandemic after doing a postdoc where I learned a lot about VR, and then the pandemic really allowed me to this time to work on some more of like these sort of psychedelic VR puzzle game type things. So it's great to meet you, and I hope you'll come and try it at some point.
Nice one. Storm?
I'm Storm, or Ka. Hi. I'm a sound artist, and it's quite beautiful to be interweaving with you all during this experience. I found my way here through dear friend Carl. We connected through the Museum of Consciousness, where our focus is really about sound and altered states of consciousness. So now we're meeting with the Cyberdelic crew to offer some experiences where we'll be interweaving this understanding of like sound as an ancient technology. And with that, I will be presenting some audio simulations. One of them will be through the sound system on Saturday, and the other ones will be through your body. I'm working with tuning forks as my main medium of sound, and I'm also working with the sound system and composing music that is designed to impact the body on a visceral level through the sound system. So through the next moments of offering human tuning, it will just be an invitation into the body, into deep listening, and as well as not only just listening, but listening through the bones, listening through the blood. Very inspired about the bridge of phenomenology finding its way into a music-making practice. So excited to have more conversations about this as well. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Oh, wow. Thank you. There's more artists coming, so at some point you will meet them if you want to play with us. But let's go back to the panel, and I'm going to ask you guys a question that you could potentially expand a bit or give it the sharpest, shortest answer, up to you. So in relation to what we were talking about cyberdelics in its kind of interconnection between the cybernetic and the psychedelic, I'm just curious how the psychedelic experience has inspired your relation with technology and with your creation.
Well, I guess something I didn't share was my background is in neuroscience, and that's actually what. I studied neuroscience because I heard the word psychedelic, my manifesting, looked up what it meant, read the Laws of Perception, read some trip reports, read Shulgin's work, and went, wow, I had never tried them. But this thing that can enhance one's appreciation of art, that can heal mental illness, that can immerse you in the immediacy, the beauty of nature. I've got to study how that works. So I studied neuroscience for that reason. And psychedelics themselves were opening me up in those ways, and in ways I couldn't have imagined with all the reading I did. But also, one thing I found as well is that some trips were beautiful, or a lot of trips were beautiful, and some really lived on in my life, and I have insights and changes of how I wanted to be in relationships and how I wanted to pursue certain projects, and the ideas would flood in. But the follow through wasn't always there. The insights and these profound experiences would emerge, but I wasn't always able to fully integrate it into life. And it's often said that psychedelics are the gateway drug to meditation, and they were for me. And for me, that's when I had this additional tool of meditation, I started to be able to implement the changes in a more long-lived way, in a way where I felt like it was, rather than being really inspired, I was also reverent and had the tools to implement these insights. And I've seen this happen as well for my clients. I'm a contemplative therapist as well as a neuroscientist, and I see that these tools together can really enhance someone's sense of relationality within themselves, to their own parts, to their relationships in their life, to their relationship to life itself. And so another thing that I loved prior to psychedelics was video games. And I played a lot of video games. And they inspired me. I loved fantasy worlds, I loved sci-fi. But they also took a lot of time away from me in a way when I was young. And I thought if I could use these tools, this autotelic or this innately enjoyable system of game, to teach people these tools, which took me, as someone with ADHD, a while to learn. Meditation isn't easy for someone with ADHD, and not everyone has time to spend 10 days in retreat. I thought, wow, this is a powerful synergy. So that's what I'm hoping. That's what, with the experiences that we're creating together, we're really hoping that they can make meditation fun. Not necessarily easy, because in our experience, if you do choose to undergo it, it does invite you to reflect on challenges in your life, uncertainties on your path, because that's what we do in a Buddhist retreat. And also to let go and to consider how, in what ways you can enter the present moment through breath, through recognition of beauty, body, and also considering who you want to be in the next stage of your life.
Can you just repeat the question?
So how the psychedelic experience has influenced the way both you relate with technology and also you create with technology?
So yeah, maybe I didn't fully introduce my background, but I work mostly in a creative aspect as a designer, building installations and stages for psychedelic music festivals. And so I definitely, over the years, have noticed an incredible amount of harmony in my consciousness from just working with these timeless shapes and forms and of sacred geometry and really like the psychedelic art style seems to relish complexity. It's, you know, so many of the aesthetics in our world are kind of drab and bland and stripped back these days. But in psychedelia, you know, complexity is almost encouraged. And I think, you know, psychedelics themselves create complexity in our own consciousness and our own experience. So I think, you know, it's almost this, it's been for me a very beautiful forward feedback loop of, you know, revelations in creative potential and output, and so it's been very influential throughout my the last little part of my life.
I think from an early age I was always interested in like trippy stuff that's usually associated with psychedelics, like juggling and sound visualizers like Windows Media Player and stuff like that. And then, so, you know, for me it was just the trippy stuff, and then drugs are also trippy, so I was quite interested in those as well as a teenager, and then sort of video games and things like that, and always been interested in sort of the creative side of my life a bit as well. And then when I came across virtual reality, I was like, oh, this could be used to create some really cool like trippy shit, like some trippy music visualizers, and why isn't anyone doing this? Like it all seems to be sort of zombie shooting games and things like that. And so I kind of like went into that area, moved to Japan, and came across sort of media technology and was doing stuff with juggling and in media and juggling in virtual reality, and then the game that I've ended up producing, this game Squingle, is a sort of culmination of that, where it sort of combines juggling and trippy visuals and sort of psychedelic kind of visuals, but along with psychedelic, I think they're not necessarily psychedelic, but they're sort of part and parcel of the psychedelic experience of Eastern mysticism and just awe at physics and the world and how squidgy the world is and how beautiful the world can be, and iridescence and beautiful things in nature and things like that, and combining all of those into a single experience that resonates, I think, with the psychedelic experience, but also just general life and the direction I hope that we can take these technologies to create beautiful and interesting and creative experiences rather than just sort of destructive shooting zombies experiences.
So the psychedelic experience, I really feel, initiated me into, just recognizing the polarity of creation and rapture. And this understanding of creation and rapture has made itself incredibly present in the research that I've been doing from the context of sound. I was interested in really going back to the origins and working with a more primeval context, but thinking about how we're progressing now in terms of the ascension path of our consciousness. It's an integral conversation to include how we be using technology to also create this nexus between the ancient and the future. And I think this is a pulse that's calling a lot of us here maybe to also bring these conversations into context through our bodies as well as through other realities that we may still be waking up to. So to the core, psychedelics really have inspired this process of creating through the cycles of creation and rapture.
Okay, so we have a new artist in the panel. Welcome. His name is Edo. And Edo, taking advantage, you can introduce yourself, and maybe if you want me to repeat the question, I can do that, or you can just go ahead and answer it.
So hi, my name is Edo, and I work with virtual reality and perception for the last 10 years, focusing on sound, collaborative environments, and how do you blend visuals and interaction. So it gets pretty psychedelic very fast, because it's just you're combining visual, sound, and touch. And lately, the point that we've been exploring the most is how do you gamify that aspect, so you don't need to be that serious about it. You don't need to be professional to explore music, but just exploring it or playing it for the sake of playing. And I fall in love with the medium of virtual reality because it allows you to do these things. So following your question, it's a mix between cartoons and and psychedelics, because when the power that cartoon has, like if you think about the coyote chasing the roadrunner and then just loses the floor under its feet, and it's not until he looks down, it's like, okay, now you fall down, you as an audience accept it immediately. If you see that in a movie, no, that's not how reality works. And psychedelics have that opportunity to allow you to expand or get out of your own ideas on what is possible. And then these virtual technologies now allow you to put yourself inside of this in these worlds of possibilities that I found extremely fascinating, because then you can use the mask or be a hero or be an artist or be something that you were not able to do in the common domain, and then bring that into your own reality. So that's very exciting to see.
Nice one. Thank you so much. Yes. So next question is more about the broader spectrum, the overview. So what do you think, what do you think is the role of cyberdelics in society today? In other words, why is this important?
Well, cyberdelics are our form of media, and currently we are saturated by media. We're living in an attention economy, which often, in many ways, entraps us in unconscious behaviors in which we lose ourselves, we lose opportunities for connection potentially. Obviously, the ways in which the world is hyper-connected now through these technologies is a beautiful thing, but it's not without its consequences. And I just hope we can find balance. I feel like we are at a turning point where we're creating these kinds of events where people come and disconnect from the attention economy and relate to each other in holistic ways, express themselves, release emotions, dance, create. It's a beautiful thing. And and also there's the rise of mindfulness and meditation, as I mentioned before. That's both scientifically, practically, tools for that as well. So I'm wondering if cyberdelics have an opportunity of supporting an alternative form of media, mindful media. Mindful media, and also I think it can be playful media.
So I think that with every new leap in technology, it's a double-edged sword, right? So Facebook spent billions of dollars developing cheap virtual reality headsets so that they can harness our attention to their own devices, and I think that it's up to us as humans to find human uses for these technologies, and so cyberdelics I see as an emergent phenomena, which is harnessing these new technologies that are perhaps meant to enslave us, to then use those same things to enrich us, to free us of our own suffering and improve our minds, improve our relationships. So I think really the next evolution in immersive media is, again, like what Ben was saying. It's not about running around shooting zombies. Um, it's about expanding our minds. It's about working on our own metacognitive powers. And I think, there's been no other technology. I guess I'm a bit of a VR evangelist in this sense, that has been able to where we can fully control the context of the user's experience. You can't do that with a video game. You can't do this with a television or a movie. But in VR, in these fully immersive spaces, you can actually trick the brain into more deeply experiencing what is being presented. And when the intention behind it is not to distract, enslave, to lower consciousness, but in fact to enrich us, I think this is one of the most exciting things to be doing right now, and that's why I'm very, very happy to be here.
Yeah, I think it's a big part of it. It's like creating just using new media technologies for positive things, and I'm always interested in trying new VR experiences, especially as they pertain to things that are a bit more on the trippy side, especially like meditation experiences, or Edo's amazing Patch World sort of collaborative music experience. The ability of VR to create community, to create that sense that you're with someone and doing something creative together, or do kind of like float. I mean, juggling and flow toys are really great, but they're quite difficult to learn, and not necessarily accessible to everyone. And there's ways that VR can be used to make some of these really creative and playful and spiritual or meditative kind of experiences more accessible to more people, and give a bit more context around it, make it a bit more interesting. And I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
I like to think of rebellion in this context, really seeing the cyberdelic narrative as a rebellion against like the times, right? Because we're constantly in conversation with our environment and with how our consciousness is shifting throughout the change that we're witnessing in this spectrum of life, living here in this body. So when I'm here in my body, I maybe hope that we can use technology for a few great things. One of the great things I'd like to see us use technology for would be to build such a magnificent sound system where we could like levitate stones and rearrange different kinds of structures. And this is like more, inspiring the storyteller in each person. Like, how are we going to reimagine our future through these ways of creation? Because the creation, it makes the creator autonomous, and this is what's really inspiring about the cyberdelic narrative, is that the creator has the autonomy. And I'd love to inspire more of this practice into anyone who's open-minded to start really believing that they have autonomy throughout this creation process of really sculpting realities live in real time, and having permission to share them, and hopefully that these experiences can also ripple and shift the minds of others. So we're all mirrors.
Nice. Well, they said a lot of great things already, so I guess agreeing with most is that, I mean, we humans have the power to project in our tools. When you're driving a car, you become the car. So you are not thinking, I'm moving a wheel, you're moving with the whole thing. And whenever you are in these virtual experiences where you can control them, you can actually become part of the world and extend your possibilities to things that go beyond what is possible just for the simple fact of not having gravity. But then you can go beyond. and the aspect that you can go into this collective intelligence or the ability to collaborate in new ways is extremely promising. And then there's all the bad sides, but if you add this harmony between humans, communities, and technology, I think that's where the new frontier is going. So it's good to bring some of this like down to earth principles.
Yeah, 100%. I really want to shift now the conversation towards your personal journey, in particularly reflecting on that. Like, what advice would you give an inspiring artist wanting to explore within this edge of cyberdelics? What advice would that be?
Well, I guess for myself, what I've been doing for the project is not the technological and not the artistic necessarily, maybe conceptually, but there are different skills that are involved in this work. Are you a project manager? Do you love writing? Are you a meditator who has a lot of experience and could write content or consult? There's different skills that we need, not just the technological, not just the artistic. Anyone can get involved. So I'd start there. And myself, I'd say it has been useful to have a little bit of programming knowledge, to have an understanding of the programs. I say more of I'm not a professional artist, but I enjoyed digital art. So having a bit of an understanding of the different aspects of the art form, also of the experience design itself. And if you have a big experience of games even and storytelling, that's a really beautiful skill to contribute as well.
So two things. The first is learning how to learn. So I went to university for 5 years. I did engineering, industrial design, and the whole process over the 5 years was just going from project to project, start to finish, start to finish, start to finish. So you develop this confidence in your own problem-solving ability, your own ability when you run into a roadblock in your knowledge or understanding or your learning journey, that you can find a way past it or through it or revisit it, come at it from a different angle. And it's that consistency, persistence, resilience that you really need to foster in yourself, because this stuff is it's huge. You're learning how to be God. You're learning how to create worlds. So it's not easy, but the rewards are worth it. And the other thing I'd say is, just in terms of your learning journeys, passion. Like the thing that's gonna get inside, like get into, stick is whatever you're passionate about. The thing that's going to keep your motivation high is staying motivated. So, staying passionate. So whatever tickles your fancy, whatever you're interested in right now, start there. And then when you find something else that you're interested in, go there and just jump around. And eventually you kind of build up this pantheon in your mind, or this toolkit of different avenues and explorations, and you become more fully realized in your abilities.
Just accept yourself when you fuck it up. That's all I'm here to say. Like, however many times you feel like you fucked it up, just accept and embrace, like, the creation that can also come from this revelation and this self-acceptance, and returning back to the heart space, honoring that space, and creating from that space is going to bring a lot of integrity into whatever you're doing.
I think the collaboration aspect, when you can get to work with people that are really not like you, and find some ways to overlap, and the freedom to fuck up, but also in safety to go back and keep trying. That's when a lot of things, pretty cool things happen. And now with this new medium that is so, like, it's still very emergent. I have never met so many different backgrounds coming to this with so many different stories from theater, philosophy, photography, and they come with a different approach. So whenever you start working with another person, like the ideas that you can actually connect in this new thing, they don't need to be in a flat screen, they don't need to be on just auditory. It's like the blend of these aspects that makes it very exciting. So I love the craftsmanship approach because of you cannot. It's like talking about music. It's like dancing about architecture, but sometimes it's really good to find some medium to communicate. And been working with physicists, with programmers, with artists, and they all come with an interesting approach. And the challenge is just to be able to catch each other's wavelength and then be able to put it into one place.
So I think one mistake I see a lot of students do when I was academic sort of students having similar sort of projects to these kind of things, technology projects, is they come in with these big ambitious ideas and I think the key is to not be too ambitious too quickly. Start small. Start with something of limited scope that you can actually create and learn new skills. And maybe learn one new skill and then apply it to a project that's very limited in scope, that's not going to take you too long, maybe just a little prototype of something small, one detail of it, and try and make it into something, and then go from there, I think is the best thing. And also to reiterate a little bit what Melissa said as well, that really lean into what you know, what your life experience or what you've done as a person, or your particular skills. Maybe like for me, I can juggle really well, so that was like an obvious thing to try and incorporate into a VR experience. But you might have your own things that you can bring to the table, and that's your unique selling point that you can leverage, that gives you something unique that other people won't have thought of, maybe that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. It's the nature of the mind manifesting of the psychedelic and its kind of relationship with the cyberdelic through cybernetics. There is, if you're really interested to explore this topic or this ambient, I think there is a responsibility of what you want to manifest from your mind to the world. So I'll invite you to think about that. Okay, thank you everyone to be here and enjoy the festival.